We take the weight of the world around with us every day. There are too many choices, too many responsibilities, and too many thoughts of what could have been if things had been different. But what if I told you that a theory that dates back 2,000 years could help you clear your mind and find peace in this never-ending chaos? Today we're going to learn about the wise words of Marcus Aurelius, who was both ruler of Rome and a Stoic philosopher. His ideas about how people think and how the world works are more important than ever. By adopting Stoicism, you can change how you deal with problems in life, seeing each one as a chance to grow wiser and find inner peace. Stay tuned to find out how ancient wisdom can help you find modern answers that will help you become stronger and more focused when life gets rough. This isn't just about past, it's also about changing the way you think so you can do well in the modern world. Send this movie to someone who feels lost in the noise of everyday life. It could be just the light they need. That's it. If you like what we're doing here, all you have to do is click that subscribe button. Watch the whole video to fully understand how these tried and true methods can change the way you live and think. Now let's begin. It's not enough to just see things differently. We need to change how we deal with the problems and events we face every day. It was Marcus Aurelius who said that how we see things affects our world more than the things themselves. From just responding to the world around us to shaping our experiences by picking how to understand and react to them is a big change. Think about this: every time you feel frustrated or anxious, there is a chance to do something. It's a good idea to train your awareness when you're stuck in traffic and your heart rate is going up. Lesson 1. Stoicism teaches us to not see this as a waste of time or an annoyance, but as a chance to think or listen to an audiobook or podcast. This can turn a frustrating delay into a time to work or rest. We often take a passive stance in our daily lives, believing that our first responses are the only way to see things. But what if we think about that response for a moment? How about we ask ourselves, is there another way to look at this? This is what Stoic training is all about. It doesn't just change our mood at the moment over time, it changes the way we think and feel. One example of a Stoic approach would be to break down a big project at work into manageable parts and focus on one job at a time instead of giving up when you feel stressed. This changes how you see the problem, from something that can't be solved to something that can be solved in a series of steps. This not only makes you feel less anxious, but it also makes you more productive and happy with your work. Being aware of the present moment is another part of training your awareness, that you shouldn't let what was or what could be happen in your mind. Mindfulness is an important part of Stoicism. It means being fully aware and grateful in the present moment. This can help you live a happier, more fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius taught us that every scenario, no matter how small or scary, is an opportunity to practice Stoicism, train our perception, and change our reality from the inside out. Let's try to use this lesson in our daily lives. That way we not only make our own lives better, but we also show others how to live a more thoughtful and purposeful life. This lesson is one of the most important parts of Stoic thought, and it's not just about keeping your cool. It means being aware of and controlling your emotions in a way that is good for your mental health and well-being as a whole. As Roman Emperor, Marcus Aurelius dealt with many problems and crises. He often talked about how important it was to stay calm, not to hide your feelings, but to use them in a healthy way. What if you suddenly run into a problem at work? Maybe the project you've been working on for hours is called off. Of course, you'll feel disappointed and maybe even angry. Stoicism, on the other hand, tells us to step back and think about these feelings. Why do I feel bad? Is it the work that was wasted, the change of plans, or the fear of what might happen? By breaking down these feelings, you're not just putting up with them, you're actively looking into where they came from and what they mean. This control isn't about denying things. Stoicism doesn't tell you to ignore how sad or angry you are. Instead, it tells you to recognize these feelings, figure out where they come from, and then choose how you want to let them affect you. Will your anger control your next meeting, or will you recognize it for what it is, figure out where it comes from, and use it to change your plans and move forward? Also, being able to control your emotions means staying true to your ideals and staying calm when things go wrong in life. Let's say someone harshly criticizes your work. Your first instinct might be to protect yourself harshly or pull back in pain. A Stoic view, on the other hand, would tell you to stop and think about the feedback without bias. Is it really true? Will it help me get better? In this way, you turn an exchange that could be painful into a chance to learn something useful. Also, let's not forget the little things that bother us every day. It could be the traffic in the morning or the long line at the coffee shop. Even though these situations may seem unimportant, they are great chances to follow Stoic principles. Don't let your anger or impatience build up. Instead, use this time to be thoughtful or make plans for the next day. By changing how you think about these situations, you can control how you feel and turn times that could be stressful into times of calm reflection or useful thought. Not only does learning to control our emotions help us find inner peace, but it also builds resilience that affects every part of our lives and lets us handle problems with grace and see possible conflicts as chances to grow. The idea is easy but profound. Figure out what you can control and what you can't, then put your energy there. This may seem like a simple thing to do, but it can really help you deal with stress and be more productive at work and in your personal life. When was the last time you were in a fix that you couldn't make? A flight that is running late, or a change at work that you didn't expect? The first thing that comes to mind is often anger or stress. The Stoic way, on the other hand, tells us to think about how we're reacting to these kinds of things. The weight is out of our hands, but we can choose how to deal with it. Should we let it destroy our mood and the moods of those around us, or should we just accept it, find a nice place to sit, and maybe read or do some work? Marcus Aurelius would tell us to put our energy to good use in situations we can change. We should work hard and fully commit to this, just like when we're getting ready for a show or taking care of our health. But worrying doesn't help when we can't change things or can only change small things. It only drains our energy and makes it hard to make decisions. Let's use this in a more personal setting, like a friendship. Lesson 3: you can't change the way other people feel or act, but you can change how you react and act. You can't make a friend who seems detached talk about their problems. They can choose to be open or change their mood, but you can offer your support and let them know you're there when they're ready to talk. This way, you'll be able to focus on what you can do, like being a helpful friend, instead of what you can't change, like how they're feeling. This principle isn't just about reducing negative feelings, it's also about making your efforts as efficient and effective as possible. For example, if you're in charge of a project at work, don't get distracted by things you can't change, like the market or what your competitors are doing. Instead, focus on the things you can control, like your planning, the results, and the drive of your team. Adding the dichotomy of control to your life isn't just a way to avoid stress, it's also a way to feel more powerful. Knowing that we can control our responses, even if we can't change what happens to us, is freeing. It makes us stronger and more proactive. It's about putting our limited time and energy into things that really matter and that we can change by what we do. This is what it means to live a Stoic life, grounded, practical and focused on steps that can be taken right now to improve oneself and find happiness. In his personal works, Marcus Aurelius often thought about how virtues like temperance, wisdom, justice, and courage can have a big impact on our lives. These are not just abstract ideas for philosophical discussions, they are useful guidelines for how we act and connect with each other every day. Let's look at knowledge as an example. It's not enough to just know things or be smart. It's also about using what you know in the real world. Being wise means seeing things as they really are, not as we want them to be. This means making choices based on a clear and logical understanding of the situation, not on short-lived feelings or pressures from outside sources. When you have to make a tough choice at work, being wise means thinking about how your choices will affect things in the long run, not just how you'll feel right now. Then there's courage, which isn't just facing danger, it's also facing the fights we have with ourselves every day. To stand up for what's right, to be honest about your mistakes, and to stay true to your ideals when they are put to the test takes courage. Being brave in this way builds trust and honesty, both with other people and with ourselves. For Stoics, justice is more than just following the law. It means treating other people with respect and honor. Being fair and reasonable means taking into account not only your own needs but also the needs of others. To practice justice, you should aim for a certain level of moral balance in all of your contacts, whether they are with co-workers, family, or strangers. Being temperate or having self-control is one of the hardest ideals to live by in a world where everything is instant. Everything is about moderation, whether it's controlling your urges, your feelings, or picking the middle ground when the edges look more appealing. By being temperate, you make sure that your wants don't affect your decisions or take you away from what's really important to you. Putting these ideals into practice every day doesn't just happen, it takes work and thought. It could mean waiting to act out of anger, thinking about what you'll say before you talk, or choosing to give up a short-term pleasure for a bigger benefit in the long run. It gets easier to make these decisions over time as you practice virtue and your character and willpower gets stronger. Living a fuller, more worthwhile life means adopting Stoic virtues. It's not about stifling your nature, but about expressing it. It's not about lessening your happiness, but about making it stronger. Keeping these ideals in mind will not only help you deal with life's problems better, but it will also make the world a better, more fair and smarter place. Let's remember Marcus Aurelius's call to be good as we go about our day. It's a map that helps us find our way through life's challenges, making sure that every step we take is based on honor and purpose. This practice isn't just about planning ahead or thinking strategically, it's also about keeping things in perspective. Understanding that every problem, choice and moment is a part of a bigger story in our lives is important. When we take a step back and look at our lives from a different angle, we can see how even the things that seem bad can help us grow and be happy in the end. Let's say you have what seems like a big setback, a project fails, or you fail at something personal. It's simple to get caught up in the pain and sadness of the moment. But if you want to think like a Stoic, you have to ask yourself how this fits into the bigger picture. This setback could be a chance to learn something important, or it could be pointing you in the direction of a better road that fits with your long-term goals. You can escape getting stuck in the details of daily life if you always keep the big picture in mind. This bigger picture helps you decide what to do and how to respond first. If something doesn't have a big effect on your long-term goals or your ability to live a good life, then it might not be important to have a strong reaction to it or make big changes to your plans. This doesn't mean ignoring small things or ignoring the present. Instead, it means making sure that your energy and attention are in line with your overall goals and values. This Stoic practice also makes us think about our place in the web of life and how everything is linked. It helps us remember that we are connected and that what we do has effects on other people. Think about not only how your choices will affect you, but also how they will affect the people around you and the world. This feeling of being linked is reassuring, and it often makes people more kind and caring. When it comes to our personal relationships, keeping the big picture in mind can help us not overreact to small problems or mistakes. When disagreements happen, don't focus on the problem at hand. Instead, Ask yourself what's really important here. Is making your point more important than keeping the friendship healthy? Most of the time, keeping the peace and understanding is more important than being right at any given time. Putting this Stoic lesson into practice in our daily lives can have a big impact on how we think about wins and losses. We become stronger as we realize that what seems like a huge problem at the moment is actually a small part of a much bigger story. As we go through our busy days, let's remember to take a step back and look at the big picture. This strong tool not only helps us better handle the ups and downs of life, but it also makes us value the journey itself even more. As we come to the end of our look at Stoic ideas through the lens of Marcus Aurelius, it's clear that these old lessons are more than just philosophical thoughts. They give us useful advice that can have a big effect on our lives today. Stoicism, which focuses on virtue, control, and perspective, gives us the strength and knowledge to deal with the difficulties and problems of our time. Remember that Stoicism is not about hiding your feelings or ignoring the good things in life. It has to do with figuring out what's important: our actions, our beliefs, and our growth. We learned from Marcus Aurelius that what matters in life is not what happens to us, but how we deal with it. This point of view gives you power. People who are reacting to life let the world throw them around. People who are proactive take charge of their lives. The lessons we talked about today are like tools. How we use them affects how well they work, just like any other tool. These habits don't just help us get through life, they make us grow. They make our relationships stronger, help us get more done, and give us real peace and happiness. So let's make a promise to follow these Stoic ideas in our daily lives. Let every struggle be a chance to get better, and every setback be a chance to learn how to keep going. You may discover that these aren't just abstract ideas over time, but real actions that lead to a happier and more meaningful life. Thank you for taking part in this newspaper for Stoics. To learn more, keep looking around by watching one of the videos that appear on your screen. Do not give up. Stay strong.